Why so many people are downsizing their lives in 2026. I wonder why. That's the title of this video right here. And if you're new here, my name is Iman. This is Emancipation. So welcome back to my revolutionaries. If you're new here, welcome to the war. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about it.
Downsizing after 20 years, it was emotional, but it was also freeing, let me tell you. When you've lived somewhere that long, every wall absolutely holds a memory. You start packing boxes, and suddenly you're not just organizing, you're literally reliving moments, the birthdays, the holidays, the laughter, and even the hard seasons. And, there were moments when I thought, maybe I'm not ready to let go. But then I realized, with the help of my husband, that I wasn't letting go of the memories, but just the space. And so we've gained in return peace, less to manage, less to clean, less noise, literally and emotionally. And I think when you reach a certain point in life, you stop chasing more and start craving enough. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And here's the thing. A lot of people think that holding on to things and hoarding, let me not say hoarding, because hoarding is actually bad. But a lot of times people hold on to a lot of stuff because of the sentimental value that it provides them. And I understand it because there are a lot of things that are sentimental to me. Some people around me wouldn't say so because I do throw a lot of things away and I'm working on downsizing. But to me, like she said, it's not the thing itself, it's the emotion attached to that thing. I say take a picture of it. I think photos are an amazing thing, especially physical media if you have it. Like I love instant photography, I love Polaroid, I love Instax, and we have to learn how to detach ourselves from stuff, and it's very freeing. I feel like you should have a photo album, a physical photo album that you can swipe through, go through it, so you can relive those moments in the time without having to fill your house with a whole bunch of clutter. So I completely understand why she's downsizing.
And that's what this next chapter feels like for me and my husband. We have enough space, enough peace, and enough room to just be. So I answer yes when people ask me if I was emotional. Yeah, I was emotional. It was emotional. But it also reminded me that sometimes, get this, freedom looks like less. Everyone is.
I 1000% agree. Freedom doesn't just look like less. Freedom is less, but not just less stuff, less worry, less stress, less attachments to physical things that just aren't really anything. It's all matter. It's just wood and steel, nuts, bolts, things of that nature. And when you learn how to detach yourself from that, when you learn how to detach yourself from the stuff, not the memories attached to the stuff, when you learn how to detach yourself from the physical stuff, but you keep the memories, you keep the good times, the warm moments, hell, the bad moments. Sometimes bad moments, you can look back on them and laugh. But I talk about emancipating ourselves from mental slavery and emancipating ourselves from the system. Emancipation starts in your mind. Once you realize that everything around us is just all dust and wood and everything like that, you start to remove yourself from the thing itself. You remove the emotion from the thing. You keep the emotion, but you get rid of the thing. Once you learn how to do that and you start decluttering, you'll realize that those feelings and those emotions are still there. Getting rid of things, let's say, you know, your grandma's old sweater and it still smells like her and you know what, never mind, that's actually very intimate, so I would say keep things like that. But that t-shirt that you got on that one vacation, that shot glass that you got that time you were in Vegas, it's the 30th shot glass you have and you don't take no shots and you're not really a collector, but you have a souvenir just to have one. Once you start getting rid of those things, you realize that you still have those memories, you still have those emotions, you still have those feelings, and you don't need the stuff to remind you about it.
I never thought I'd say this, but downsizing was the best decision I've ever made. Seriously. I used to think my big house was a status symbol, but it was actually holding me back. When I sold it and moved to a smaller place, everything changed. Suddenly, I had more cash in my pocket, less stress about maintenance, and way more free time.
This either feels like he's AI or this is an advertisement. So let's see, because it sounds like he's reading a script badly too.
No more weekends spent mowing a massive lawn or cleaning rooms I never used. Now, I travel more, I'm closer to the city, and I actually know my neighbors. It's like I've hit the reset button on life. If you're on the fence about downsizing, take it from me. It might just be the fresh start you need. And if you're ready to make the move, Sell My House Pro can help you get the ball rolling.
I knew it. It's a freaking ad, but the contents of it are true. Selling your home is freedom. And I know people will say, well, a home is the best investment you can have. You have to have a home. And if you don't have a mortgage and if you're not worried about fixing your roof every now and then, are you really living? Are you really Yes, I'm doing perfectly fine. I'm fine. I'm happy without owning a home. If you really want a home, go rent one and invest the rest of your money. Because you can still make a lot of money in the stock market because it goes up and it beats inflation. Now you could say that what if the stock market drops? If the stock market tanks, the housing market does too. It's never a thing where one goes up and one goes down drastically. No, they do fluctuate. minimally. But if the stock market crashes, I promise you the housing market's crashing along with it. It's one and one. But the difference is you don't have to do nothing when the stock market crashes, and you can just sit there and wait. And if you really want to, while it's crashing, if you don't want to lose all your money, you can just sell and hold on to the cash you have. It's not like that with the housing market. When the housing market starts to crash, nobody's going to want to buy your house. They're going to wait to see how low the prices get, and when it gets to the point where people actually want to buy, you may not be able to sell. Buying a house is a lifestyle choice. It's not really an investment. It is a lifestyle choice that sometimes ruin people's lifestyle, because if all your money is going into maintaining and keeping your house and paying your mortgage, and you don't get to do the fun stuff that you used to do before, you're not really living. You're not free. You're not winning. You are confined to your home. You just bought a really nice prison. And that's what buying a house is for a lot of people. And I'm sorry to say that. And I'm sorry for all the housing gurus that are telling everybody to buy a house, but it's just the God honest truth. Downsizing could really help you out. And if you are going to buy a house, buy the house you need. You don't need the four-bedroom house if you're by yourself. You can buy a two-bedroom house. Do you need 4,000 square feet and can you do it with 1,500 square feet? Do you need a giant backyard? I mean, just think about it.
Rolling.
Why on earth would somebody downsize if they are not planning on moving? The more stuff you have equals the more cortisol you have running through your body. Cortisol is the mother of all destructive things in your life. So, what
1000% true. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and they call stress the silent killer because you never know when it's going to hit you in the form of a heart attack, in a stroke, an aneurysm. Things like that happen all the time because when cortisol levels are high, people are stressed, and vice versa, because stress causes the cortisol levels to raise. But you can gain weight when you have a lot of cortisol. You hold a lot of body fat. You may hold a lot of face fat, but mainly belly fat, I should say, because that's where most people's bodies store a lot of fat when they're high on cortisol. Stress is a terrible thing, and when you downsize your life, man, the stress starts to minimize, I should say, and you start living more free. You start living more happy. I always talk about living a life of freedom, fun, and adventure. Once you free yourself from stuff, then you free yourself from stress, then you can live a free, fun, and happy life.
do I mean by that? Let's just say that you have a perfectly organized home and you feel fine, but you open up your closet or a cabinet or a drawer, and all of a sudden you start to feel a little overwhelmed. You start to feel that little heavy feeling. You start to feel a little stressed out, and you're like, what's going on? Our bodies are designed to scan for threats. The more stuff it has to scan to see, is this a threat? Is this a threat? The more that it has to scan, the more it perceives threats. So then your brain will pump out cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which causes a whole host of just bad things in your body. It can cause high blood pressure, poor sleep, and those can cause all kinds of things as a secondary result of high cortisol and high stress in your body. So, downsizing, what this does is it reduces the amount of inventory that you have in your home. It reduces the amount of stuff that you see on a daily basis. And what happens is less stuff equals less cortisol and less stress. Ah, this is huge.
This is a very important thing to understand. You got to get rid of the stuff, and you know what's crazy? It always gets back to that primal brain, that reptilian hominid brain, that our bodies are made to survive. Our bodies are made to protect us. And sometimes those protection mechanisms affect us in our day to day, everyday life because we don't live out in nature anymore. We have this manufactured safety, this manufactured security, and our bodies, our brains have not adapted to that yet. We're not hunter gatherers, or most of us here in America are not hunter gatherers. So there's a lot of things that our body and brains just respond to in such a different way. So you might think that you're living a comfortable life, and then you open your cabinet doors and you see that your girlfriend got her 35th Stanley Cup and they're all different colors, and it's, oh my God, it's overwhelming. And then don't let you be colorblind because now you don't even know what the hell is going on. It's a terrible thing. So I get it. I get it. All makes sense because at the end of the day, the human brain is a giant computer, and it is a computer that is working on a very specific program. And although we might have updated the hardware, it seems like the software hasn't updated too much.
So, how would it feel for you if you had less stress? How would it feel for you if, when you opened up your closet, you had less options to choose from, but you knew that no matter what outfit you picked, you looked fabulous in it? You knew that no matter how many times you opened up your cabinet, you wouldn't feel stressed out with the array of mugs or bowls or plates or all the utensils or those one hit wonders that you have. They're just gathering dust that maybe you used once or twice, but you haven't touched them in months or even years. That is the benefit of downsizing. When we downsize what we have, we reduce the number of choices. And when we reduce the number of choices, that we reduce the number of feeling of overwhelm. There's a study, it's called a jam study. I've done a video, I've done a podcast about this. The more options patrons had to sample the jams, the less likely they were to buy. But when
It's also called the paradox of choice. If you give people too many options, eventually they'll either choose none or they'll choose the wrong one or something that they perceive to be the wrong one because there's all this FOMO, there's this fear of missing out. So they may not know which ones that they want. That's why they say if you have a new company, let's say it's a clothing line, let's say you offer a t-shirt, don't offer 30 different colors, offer like four or five, because people are more likely to be happy with the things that they get. And you know, it's funny, this fear of missing out, this paradox of choice or paralysis by analysis is the reason the dating market is so messed up. And I know this is a weird, segue, but hear me out. A lot of people see all these people on the internet and they're like, oh my God, this woman's beautiful. This woman's beautiful. This woman's beautiful. This woman's beautiful. And then the women have the same thing. They have it worse. This man is commenting. This man is leaving likes. This man is DMing. They post one picture to get a bunch of heart eyes and heart emojis and oh my God, you're so amazing. They think that they have a whole bunch of options and eventually they end up having none in the long run. But it's the paradox of choice. And I know she called it the jam study. I heard that it was also done with like cookies or like muffins at one point where people, when given a whole bunch of flavors, were less likely to be satisfied with the flavor that they chose. But the people who only were given like a couple flavors were typically satisfied with what they got. When you give people too many options, it screws up their brain. But if you put too many things in front of you, it does the exact same thing. So I understand that.
and the store had a smaller number of jams, more people bought. This is what's called decision fatigue. When you have so many options, you just can't make a choice. So these are some of the benefits of downsizing. Give yourself permission to reduce the number of items you have in your home and watch your level of joy and satisfaction and happiness soar and your level of cortisol and stress decrease. I have a whole
Our lives are about to change in about 3 to 4 weeks. We are downsizing and simplifying our lives so dramatically. We are moving from our home in Vegas, which is 3,400 plus square feet, and moving to a 1,300 square foot apartment in West Hollywood. We're hoping that we get our application approved, but otherwise we are still searching around that area and around that square footage. Strong feeling that it'll work out in the end. I need all of the tips. This will be our first time downsizing our lives. Ever since I met my husband, we've been moving from apartment to apartment and then into this home that we have called our home for now almost 4 years. As ever since having my son, life has just been go, 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 and we haven't had the space or capacity really to purge and get rid of so much that we brought here over to Vegas. When we moved to LA, we are downsizing over half of what we own. I would say at least 75% of the stuff that we own will.
I think that's a beautiful thing. But going from Vegas to LA, you might be downsizing on stuff, but you are upsizing, especially if you're in Las Vegas. Las Vegas, don't if you've never been to Vegas, don't let people trick you. Vegas ain't the strip. Okay, the strip is just a very particular part of Las Vegas. Just like Dubai isn't all downtown Dubai. I promise you. Like you see the bright lights in the city and everything. That's not what the whole thing is. Going from Vegas to Hollywood, of all places, Hollywood, yeah, you might be downsizing on size, but you're getting a lot more hustle and bustle. But it's freedom. I don't know if it'll be cheaper. It'd probably be around the same amount of money or something similar. But sometimes just less space is easier to manage, easier to deal with, easier to look at, easier to clean. It's just easier you know, in every sense of the definition of easy. It's just better for a lot of people. I would even say it's better for most people. You guys are just convinced that you need more. That's the American way. We need more. We medium, large isn't enough. We got extra large. We got supersized foods. I also, happy that they got rid of the supersized option because there's no reason you need like a 40 ounce of soda or however big it was. I don't know the exact number, but you're convinced that you need more. You need the most house you could buy. Let's say you get approved for $800,000. Well, you're not going to buy the $400,000 house. You're going to go look for something in the $700,000 or $800,000 range because that's what you got approved for. When you don't need that, you're living by yourself, or maybe you have a wife, or maybe you have like one kid. If you have two kids, a two-bedroom house is enough. It's more than enough. They can share a room. What's so wrong with kids sharing a room? Even as they get older, eventually maybe they'll go to college, or even if they decide to stay there, at when it becomes necessary to get that third bedroom house, then you go get it. But you don't need the most house you could buy right now. I would even venture to say that if you are going to buy a house, which I don't recommend for a lot of people, even most people, buy the least you can afford. You get what I'm saying? So if you get approved for 800,000, See if you can get something for 400,000, 500,000, especially if you're by yourself, and then work with that. And then as that builds equity and the market goes up, if it goes up, then when it's time to upgrade, then you could sell that house, pull the equity, and put it into the new house. It's easier to upgrade houses than it is to buy a big house, out the gate. Like it's easier to it's it your second buying your second house is easier than buying your first house. Just like they say, the hardest million to make is the first million. After that, you kind of got it figured out. Just like getting in shape. Getting in shape is hard. Staying in shape is easy. Maintenance is always easier than getting there. It's the same across the board. So if you are going to buy a house, buy the least amount of house you can afford initially, and then as your income goes up, as the market goes up, as your needs go up, it's easier to upgrade to the house that you want.
Will be donated or sold. 3,400 square feet is a lot more than what we need. How to best navigate moving companies, the timeline or the budget that we might need for packing and making sure everything is done before the move. Because I know there's so many little things to check off our boxes. I just don't want to overlook anything. Looking for a new dog sitter, looking for new babysitters, literally anything that you guys can help with to make this move as smooth as possible. I would be so grateful. So I will be talking about this in a new YouTube video this week going up on Saturday. So thank you for any help in advance.
I think this is amazing. And I think it's amazing that people are going through this, but this is segment. So now let's get into the comment section. Let's see what people are saying. I've reached this point. I want to downsize because I'm full. I really want nothing. See, that is good. Some people call this complacency, whereas I call it lost the word. There's a word, content. You are content with your life. Now, you should always be trying to earn a little bit more because as inflation goes up, as times change, you might need a little bit more money. But even if you earn more, you keep your life exactly the same. You don't want more, you're making more just in case of an emergency. And if for whatever reason you want to chill out, you don't have to make as much. You can relax because you downsized, you don't have an expensive lifestyle, you don't have a lot of stuff, you're not in debt, get out of debt, and then life becomes a whole lot easier. I'm I'm throwing so many things away, yet I still have more crap to throw away. Yeah, I get that. I do this thing where I try to get rid of one thing every single day, and I think I'm gonna bump it up to three. But when you do it like that, gradually over time, you're gonna start to see the room get emptier and emptier. It's lighter. It's not as jarring as trying to do it all at once. So I do think that this is a good way to declutter. If you're trying to declutter your life and just trying to throw away everything that's too difficult, try getting rid of one thing a day every single day. If you think about it, in a year, you've got rid of 365 things, and in a leap year, 366. But on the other side of that, you're not buying any more things. If you buy two things for every one thing you get rid of, then all you're doing is like creating more clutter. Some people just have this need to fill up the empty space. It's just like the same reason that some people cannot sit in silence. Sometimes people think they need the noise, they want the noise, and it's not just audio noise, it's the visual noise. Sometimes people just cannot exist within empty space. They can't exist in quietness. They cannot just be within themselves, so they need all these distractions. And once you learn how to exist in nothingness and in emptiness and in quietness, then you will achieve peace. Then you'll achieve freedom. Then you'll achieve all these other things. Let's go through a couple more. Okay, I like this. You mentioned the studio. I love studio apartments. I've lived in a 450 square foot studio apartment for 18 years and counting. I am planning to live off grid in a smaller space when I retire in a few years. What helped me was living in a I can never pronounce that right, rural village as a Peace Corps volunteer in South America. The local people had a few clothes or the local people had few clothes or furnishings. They used one to two cooking pots to make all of the meals for their families. They took care of their belongings, choosing to mend holes and repair broken items rather than throw them away or replace them. Almost every possession served multiple purposes. I learned then that most of what we own actually owns us and does not fall into the category of needs. Yes. Yes, initially you own the possessions and eventually the possessions own you. You become the possessed instead of the possessor. So you need to learn how to get rid of this stuff. You need to learn how to downsize, and you need to really realize that all this stuff is fake. It's all fake. Like you can feel it, you can look at it, you can touch it, but when I say it's fake, it's not nature, it's not natural, it's not freedom, it's not who you're meant to be.